All right, good morning, good morning. What's up? Welcome to FIFO. I got my boy Samnang Man here, Danny Marawinski, your host. This podcast is Samnang and I used to know each other back in high school. We went 20 plus years without speaking, connected over social media because we both share kind of personal development kind of content. Met for a meeting, set up the next one, and then the next meeting, Sam Ning's like, why don't we just hit record and start this podcast? So here we are. Our mission is to raise the collective vibrations. That's our intent. That's our goal for Flow In, Flow Out. So what we mean by that is to share stories about how Sam Nang and I are becoming better human beings every single day, inviting guests on, asking them on how they're becoming better human beings. And our intent for this content is to help anybody that's consuming it elevate themselves and become a better human being. Podcast gets released 6 a.m. Monday mornings and 4 p.m. Friday afternoons. That way we can hit you guys right there at the beginning of the work week and catch you at the end on your commute home. So you can kind of help use this to structure your week and crush the weekend. So
Nice.
that's the intro.
That is so professional. I always applaud how crisp and clean and professional it is. Definitely, I give it a 10 for today.
One of
So
these days, dude, you know what though, man? Like one of these days I want a 9 or like an 8 or like I actually want like a 4 or 5 from you one day. Yeah, I want like a dude that was like
it's the
subpar.
better and better, which is good as a coach to see. Like it's crisper, it's clearer, it's more direct. Like the mission statement is there. Pitch, it's like a pitch, we gotta captivate the audience, and you're doing it, and it's cool to see. I'm always about those little incremental changes to like improvements and stuff. I kind of just wing it and just kind of go with what's going on. But
I'm winging it too, man.
we're on
But
episode 14. We kind of just built this out and just have it a space for us to share our stories, vent, express ourselves. To me, the biggest why and the biggest reason why we're here, and it's just to kind of help each other, and that's my why. The collective vibrations, elevating it. uh that revolves a lot of like help and support. So this podcast is meant to inspire. You might not hear it today. The message might not resonate today, but it might resonate later. So we feel like we have a calling, a mission. I feel like I have a mission to share this message. It's kept compelling. It's like, hey, you gotta share whatever you're doing and try to bring people along that want to be brought along. So um it's just a personal development stuff. That's basically what we talk about. And we're on episode 14. And we're continuing to talk about our entrepreneurship journeys, our ups and downs, our families, our health and fitness, our well being, our personal development, and our spirituality. So uh, that's my follow up introduction to Danny's introduction that he talks about at the same time every day.
nice, man. Nice. See, you're gonna have to start doing that, running the intro soon, bro. You got it.
I don't know. Mine is like it's whatever's on top of my head, so I can't like. I mean, I could maybe I should just jot down some notes. I do have some notes that I have, but it was actually for our guests. We don't have today.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. No, we're ready to rock, bro. So look, let's dive into it today. Um, I know we had a couple things we wanted to throw out there. So Sam Ning, I think you had some ideas that you'd like to share about some introspective that you've had with your mentors recently. And then I know I'm very interested in talking about comfort, right? And what comfort is, and it's something I've been struggling with recently. So, but I'll let you start, man. Like I know, even when we spoke, I believe on the last podcast, right? Like you just came off vacation.
Yeah,
You rode the high of vacation, and then you kind of come back into reality, and you hit that kind of slump for a little,
it's
and
weird.
then now you're like,
It wasn't a high. It was like a low when I went into vacation. I was on a high going into vacation, and then I went into like a low in vacation, and then I came back, and like I'm kind of in upward now, where I kind of pulled myself out of like a little bit of a depression. I think it was depression. I think it was a feeling. I said it on my Instagram story. I said I'm productive, but I didn't feel productive. For me, typically, if I feel productive, I feel like I'm making progress in like the gym, at work, making money, having better relationships in those areas and stuff. And I'm feeling productive in all those areas. I'm pretty high vibration. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty. It's weird, and the feeling where like when I came back from vacation, I was still actually productive. I got all the stuff that I needed to do in my head, that I wanted to do, and still on pace, but I didn't feel productive. I felt very like I'm stuck. But
Mm.
this week, uh, really got me back, because I had like 5 coaching calls. I have one at least like once a day. Either I'm being coached or I'm coaching somebody, right? Um, this week, my mentorship just really like grounded me. Just be like, this is a season for growth, and growth requires a lot of uncomfortable. And he said, it's this character building season. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's character building season, because I have like these feelings and stuff, because I feel like right now, since I spent so much time in solitude, there's not really anybody that really completely understands my vision and my goals and stuff. So it feels to me sometimes I live in an island. But having these conversations and stuff with other entrepreneurs and learning about their struggles and their insights and stuff, just really be like, you don't have it that bad, you know? And I was like, you're right. And then put stuff into perspective and be like, okay, I was stressing over something. Like I have my dream life right now, right? Might not be exactly where I want it, but at the end of the day, I was like, I have my dream life. I get to pursue my passion of bodybuilding. I get to, speak and influence people. I gotta start. I have my own coaching business. It's like it's there, right? I have everything that I want, but a feeling of like not really like proud of it, or I don't know.
Well, no, that's interesting, man, and I think that's very. I think a lot of people can relate with this, right? Like, I know I actually went through a slight funk myself, just this past week, and just stressed with things that come with owning a business. I got 8 mouths to feed on top of
Yeah,
my own, and you go through seasons of you know abundance, and then you go through seasons of scarcity, and we just went through a slow month for us, but the back end is record months for us, and record deal size and deal flow. So I had to put my own money back into the company for the very first time. I had to do some different things, and like looking at the company a little bit differently. And there's a moment in that process where it's like your Goggins calls it your little bitch, right? Like your little bitch surfaces, and your little bitch is like, just quit. So
yeah,
much easier if you just quit. Sell the business, stop, like go get a job. It's so much easier. Why are you dealing with this? And so I found something interesting that I've been practicing a lot of this recently. So if you watched any of these episodes, you'll probably know that like I'm getting really heavily into stoicism, right? And
that's
I've
cool.
been really studying Marcus Aurelius's meditations. My wife and I read each other excerpts of that every morning. So it's like a thing that we do, like an intimate thing that we do to just like helps ponder life. And the one thing I've been really getting out of it, right, is the separation of mind, body, and soul, and how you can, especially the mind and the body, like you can separate those two out.
Hmm.
So I found this out just last week. Um, and maybe this will be relevant, maybe this will be synonymous with what you experienced or not, Sam Ning, but what I been happening with me for the last month, I've been going to the chiropractor, I've been fixing my posture. My body's I've had a lot of surgeries, and because I went sedentary for the last 3 months and not really working out, I had a lot of pain. So working out caused a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Um, so I just got to the point where like I got my body right. I'm like making progress in my posture. So I'm feeling good. I'm working out again. So I started biking. Well, I was like in this funk, and I was literally like thinking to myself, like, this is too hard. What am I doing? What am I doing with this business? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, literally, I just was like having those types of thoughts, right? Like, why am I putting myself through this? There's got to be an easier way, kind of thing. And I'm riding my bike, and I realize I feel anxiety start to come in, right? And for me, when anxiety creeps in, my chest gets heavy, I get tight. Because I've been so focused on my posture, which is really interesting. Because like when trying to walk around, shoulders back, head up, shoulder blades pinned down, tight core. And what I realize is when anxiety sets in, I tend to do this. I
Yeah.
start to cave inward, right? So I could literally physically feel my body like this. I could feel the weight of my chest. I could feel my heartbeat racing. I could feel my pulse increasing. I could feel my blood pressure rising. All of those physical triggers from simply thoughts. And
Yeah.
that's when I realized, like right then and there, I'm like, wait a second. Why am I making myself feel this way? Why am I letting my body feel this way? I'm gonna stop. And I was literally on the bike ride. I was feeling like all tense, and I just turned it off inside of my head. I was like, you know what? I don't need to make my body feel this way. And I consciously thought of calming my body, releasing all that tension, releasing all of that negative energy. And in the process of doing that, I started extending and opening up my chest
Yeah.
and everything else. And it was gone. The feeling was gone. Right now, the thoughts are still there that I can think of, but like what I ended up doing is I'm making this connection between I am in control of my body,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be the master of my body. So even though yes, these things happen that affect our life and it puts us into funks, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't affect my body, because what I've noticed in the past is when I have those feelings and I allow those feelings to live and fester inside of my body, well, now it starts changing the way that my mind works, because now my mind is going to go justify why the body feels that way. That's misery seeking misery, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start to come up with excuses. I'm going to change everything about what I'm doing. I'm going to go find ways to rectify why the body feels a
Yeah.
certain way. And it becomes an emotional decision and emotional decision making when it doesn't need to be that way. Right. So, anyways, that's
No,
my,
no,
my story from last
that
week.
so that's like the point of meditation is like you are figuring out that process of like so like when I body build, it's like the mind muscle connection. I could separate the mind and then place it in like a spot, right? So you're training to do that. What you're doing with your meditations and reading the book and everything of like feeling like, hey, this is my body or this is my emotional state, and that you could actually like change that through like your thoughts and change the physiology. That's the science behind it because that's real. Like I do that all the time. When I'm feeling like in a funk, I was like, I gotta shake it off. I gotta dance and stuff. Like I've trained myself enough where like I know when I'm in a funk that like, hey, this is what I do. Like the biggest thing, like when I was coaching a friend, or she was curious. She was like, at your hardest, lowest times, what did you do? And I was like, to be honest, I was talking to somebody at least once a day. It wasn't about my work. It was either my friend, it was my therapist, it was a coach, it was a colleague, or like a customer or something. Just or like on YouTube, but like expressing it, like expressing your sadness, expressing how you feel, expressing your anxiousness and stuff. Sometimes we don't express it, and then we do bottle it up, and then that's when all those illnesses come from to me, like since I started studying a lot of like energy fields and stuff, it's blocked energy fields to me. When I was depressed is because my heart energy field was kind of shut down, and I every time that something triggered some kind of emotion, it got stuck, and it would like not I want to say paralyze me, but it would almost like debilitate me. Like for somebody that was like a grown man that's like 36, 37 years old and stuff, like just to be put on the floor just because of like emotions and stuff. It's like it's tough. So that's the reason why I'm starting to coach. It's like I've seen people. I've struggled. I'm pretty sure somebody's out there is struggling. Same type of deal where like they just can't figure out that emotional side or that physical side. There's so much to like personal development and like healing yourself and making you're good and stuff. So I applaud you for sharing, and I can see that you've done a lot of like introspective work recently. um how has that kind of like played into like your work and to your family and stuff? Has that improved?
Oh yeah, I mean, 100-fold, right? So, let's. I guess we could start with the family. I mean, I got young kids, 5, 3, and 8 months old.
Yeah.
What's their level of emotional maturity? I mean, pretty low, right? So like, dad is the leader. Dad is the rock. I mean, mom is also the leader in the rock too. So you can't like you can't bring that into your kids. Like why would you like it would create a very negative experience for the children, right? Like they don't want to see dad upset. They don't want to see mom upset. They want to be kids. So you have to find ways to solve it without including, your young children. But here's the truth, dude. It's very synonymous when you're running a business because do you realize like if you are the owner of your business and you have a team and you show up to a meeting and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is just too hard. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm freaking out. You realize like what, like your team's going to be like, we got to go, right? Because you're there as the leader of a business to solve for that problem. That is literally the problem that you're there for, right? So like and this is something I think that a bunch of solo entrepreneurs and solopreneurs need to realize. And maybe this is something you could even try practicing. I just thought of it in this conversation. You sparked that in my head. When you're with a staff, right? When it's your staff, you're hiring them, you're writing their paychecks. It's a very different experience than when you're doing entrepreneurship as a solo entrepreneur, right? And I've done both, so I can tell you, like, it's a very different experience. When you're doing solo entrepreneur, you don't like you can slack off in different areas. Um you can have a bad month and it just affects you. So it
Right.
doesn't really have that big of a net effect, right? Like when you have people that you pay, I mean, first off, and depending on how much you're paying, like I told you before, our payroll, like we pay out $15,000 a month, which is peanuts compared to like what payroll really is for big businesses, right? And that's even peanuts for my crew, my crew of 8. If you really think about that, I'm sure you could break down what that would be across everybody that I pay per month. But imagine like when we move into full-time work, I mean, that's going to go up. That's going to be 30 grand, easily if everybody comes on full time. So an amount of money. So when you're writing those checks, two things happen. You feel great for writing it because it's like, wow, I'm helping these people. But then you also are like, that's a lot of money going out. What are they producing, right? So when you have that experience and you go through a funk as the owner, as yourself, whether it's family or work, you are not allowed to bring that to the table.
Yeah.
You're just not.
You're a
Like
professional.
it's if you do, the people that are putting a lot of faith and trust in you, faith and trust that you're going to continue to provide a check, faith and trust that you're going to continue to find work, that you're going to continue to solve problems, that they're not there to do your business. They're there to do a job function, right?
Hmm.
Um, so you gotta show up and like we're gonna win every day, every single day. And therefore you have to do the same thing with your family. Because you know what? at least in my family dynamic, my wife needs me. She needs my mentorship. She needs my coaching, my encouragement, because she can get herself into funks. Now she's becoming better and better, and she runs her own business too that I have to assist with. My boys, I got three boys, and they all have alpha mentalities. It's a lot to manage, right? It's a lot to like push them forward, um,
Developing
and
them.
then it's also true too. Like, and I think this is where like you hit on it a little bit, man. It You end up living on these islands, right? These emotional islands, and it is very lonely there, and it's forcing you to dig deep to solve your own shit and not bury it, right? And there's a big difference. So like you can be left on an island and be alone and be in isolation and have all these issues. Burying it is when you go, I'm just not going to think about it. I'm going to put it underneath everything else and just put it away. I'm not going to address it. That's burying it, right? And you never want to do that because the zombies will eventually come back up and they're going to fucking ruin your life, ruin your world, right?
Demons, yeah.
Yeah, your demons. And the other side of it is like, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with this right now. And that first part of dealing with it for me is like accepting it for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stressed right now. We're having a little bit of a cash flow, challenge, but you know what? I'm going to solve it.
You are
And what's
I,
that?
I think you talking out loud and relieving that stress, it's like I could, like hearing from your voice and talking about solopreneurship and entrepreneurship, like how you have a staff and everything. I could see the different level of stress that you have and the staff and everything when you talk about that and stuff. I could see, but the way that you're talking about it and expressing it and stuff, I believe you are gonna figure it out. And I think,
100%.
yeah, like 100%, the way you speak and everything, the way like your mentality and the direction that you have, it's gonna work out. Same for me too.
Well,
Sometimes you
the
just
same
feel
for you, man. And this is here's another realization that I had in this process, right? And maybe you're seeing this, maybe you're not. I don't know yet. But you know what we're really good at? You know what you're probably really, really, really fucking good at? Problem
well,
solving.
yeah, I figured out.
Probably really good at problem solving, right?
Yeah,
So if I threw a set of problems on your table right now that you had to deal with, I don't care what it is, financial, family, friends,
yeah.
whatever. Pick any bucket you want to throw it in.
Oh, I
If
figured
I
out.
threw that on your table and it was a time sensitive, high risk if it's not solved kind of situation and problem, you're probably going to solve it. And you
Yeah,
can probably think back to situations that you've been in where you have solved it. Entrepreneurship is about being problem solvers, and whether you're a solopreneur or you're an entrepreneur with a team, doesn't matter. If you're going out there and creating your own life, creating your own business,
hmm,
doing the shit that we're doing, then you have to be an extremely good problem solver, and you have to actually like solving problems,
yeah.
right? And that's the
Rewarding.
trick to it.
It's really rewarding to me, like when I learn a new skill or learn something. Right now, like I'm in the process of learning like marketing and copywriting and like honing down like my marketing message and stuff. It's like, to me, it's like very interesting, right? Because this is skills that I'm building that later down the road I know it's going to be useful because AI and online business and work from home, like I'm thinking ahead, so that makes me like super excited to like work and like learn these new skills and stuff so I can apply it. But like, even if I don't feel like I'm like, sometimes I don't feel like right now my problem is that I'm not cash flowing, right? It's like I built this business and I have clients and stuff, but it's not as cash flow as I want. So we're building out. I'm actively working on building a bigger package, a bigger coaching package, so I can leverage my time. So that's taking some market research, coaching, and putting the plan together. Is right now for me is like, it's longer than I expected to cash flow, which is okay. I'm not in any like worry, but in my mind, I was expecting to be cash flowing within the second or third month I opened up, right? But
Classic, classic. That's everybody, man. That's not just you. That's everybody looks at it that way, right?
I talked to some of my friends this week. They're like, "Yeah, I'm doing the exact same." I was like, "Yeah," because
You know what you're learning about right now, Sam Ning? You know why this season is one of the best seasons you could be going through, and why, quite frankly, it's amazing that you're not cash flowing. It's going to sound crazy because because here's what's true about you. You're like me in the sense that like I totally believe in our communications that you are going to win, you're going to be successful. You're going to get there. I have no doubt in my mind. If you keep showing up and you keep grinding the way that you've been, you're going to get there.
yeah,
So I'm not stressed about that for you at all. What you're going through right now is this is creating a new lens for you for when you are there and now you're in a position to invest and to give back and
mm-hmm,
to help other businesses do what you did, when you can actually cut big checks back to people.
mm-hmm,
What you're experiencing is sharpening your axe and strengthening your lens for when you do have the capital and when you can invest, because you're going to look at younger you, of people that you potentially want to invest into.
yeah,
And they're going to come to you all gun ho and be like, I got this bulletproof plan. And in 3 months, we're going to be here on the numbers. Right. And you're going to sit back and look at it and go, that's going to be 9 months. That's going to be 10 months. That's going to be 12 months. That's going to be 2 years. Right. Like you're going to start to understand what it truly takes to grow both your business, and then that's going to translate into understanding like how other people do it too, right?
yeah.
um
It
and
is.
then all of a sudden it's going to make you that much wiser.
I think doing like going through the experience, like you can't outsource experience. I think we talked about this on like our first or second episode and stuff. Like for me,
Right.
I have to experience this stuff before I could actually like teach it. Of course, I want to like this package I'm putting together is a lifestyle package. The next package I want to put together is more like a business package. So the process of me learning business entrepreneurship, like right now in this modern time that we could learn immediately, is at speeds that's to me it's like, okay, I think that's where we focus our attention, and me niching down. This is all stuff that I've never done before. It's all like getting coached, doing it. I've had the thoughts in my head and stuff. So working with other coaches and just helping me push me along this week really really helped me out a lot. I You introduced me to your friend named Jacob.
Yeah, did you get a chance to chat with him?
Yeah, yeah. So we chatted for like an hour. So I always keep our conversations to like an hour so we could get our point across and chat a little bit and everything. But he's a good dude. He's pretty much on the same, like he's like right there what I'm doing. Um at pretty much at the same stage of like our business. He's putting together a package. He has a few clients, but he
Hmm.
also work that he doesn't have to worry about. But this is what I believe he looking to be full time so he could, create financial freedom. So that's
Yeah,
my
that's why I got you connected with him, man. I figured it was a good.
yeah. And then I connected with another guy that I coached. He was a leadership coach. So he's a leadership coach, and he's been doing it since 2010. So coaching is his full time business. He was a speaker. He has like a book and everything. And my friend introduced me to him, and he has a lot of money. He's like 55-year-old, and so I jumped on a Zoom call with him, and me, like I don't know, I could create connections pretty easy. So I started talking and just telling a little bit about what I was doing, and I told him, I read his website and everything. I can use a little bit of your mentorship, and literally, I had a free like mentorship from this guy that's like very successful, teaching me how to like serve. Like he has a group of friends, so he graduated from Georgetown. People Georgetown, like executive leadership coaching and stuff, right? He was telling me about like what they're struggling with. So he was basically telling me their pain points, and that's what I was doing for like my market research. Where are the big pain points, and how do we market, and how do we tell you show them? And he was like, there's this age group. He's I think around 55, and he has about like 40 or 50 friends that are kind of like in the same stage of life with him. You know, they're they got money, they got time. That's the biggest thing. I have friends that have money, but they don't have time.
Hmm.
And then there's people that have time and money, right? So I was like, well, if you have money and you're a little bit older, you probably have more time and more money. I was like, okay, I'm starting to niche down and do this market research and everything. And he's giving me like free coaching. You should do this. This is how you market it. You got to have validations and everything. And did you see that I got my life coaching certification?
I did, dude. I commented. Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. And then I went on Instagram. I was like, this doesn't mean shit.
Fuck this thing.
I got this, but this shit doesn't mean shit.
Oh, that's funny.
I wanted to get that point. Like, your degree doesn't matter. Your certification doesn't matter.
Oh, that's funny, Samnang.
I put it up. I was like, this shit doesn't matter, okay? Making money is what matters.
That's funny.
So he's giving me like all these pointers and everything. I was like, okay, perfect. And I told him where I was at. I told him I was like, look, I'm gonna be back in touch. Okay. So now in my head, I'm putting this program and designing specifically for a niche and marketing towards a niche. So I hadn't
Yep.
done it like before last week, but this is what I did this week. And in top of my head is like, okay, I'm asking people in my community, what are your biggest pain points when it comes to adding more health and fitness, into your life? More of it. You might be doing some of it. Maybe somebody might like work out and eat good, but they might not be doing like mindfulness practice. Some people might be doing mindfulness practice, but not practicing good nutrition or something like that. What pain points, like hurdles, like maybe I can ask you as like you've had some hurdles or struggles to lift some weights, or you know it sounds like you eat fairly healthy, right?
Yeah. We eat very healthy.
And then you have a mindfulness practice. It sounds like you do a little bit of meditation and everything, but like I think you want to improve more physical fitness into the family and stuff. Like, what's the pain point or the struggle of you know incorporating it more? Is it lack of knowledge, or just lack of motivation, or just not like?
So no, that's a great question, right? And so first, before I answer that, I want to just I want to just comment on one thing when you talked about niches, niches, niches.
Riches in the
Brain
niche,
fart.
what my coach
Riches in the
said.
niches. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, first
That's
off, he's not wrong, right? So imagine that you put together a program that is personal development for the stay-at-home mom who has 3 kids, who recently went through a divorce, who lives in Northern Virginia, who um, is in the nursing is also a full-time nurse, who also has to use childcare, who likes the color green, right? Just I'm making this up. But imagine you have something that specific and that is the name of what you sell. How much competition do you have in there, in that niche? How many other personal development programs are built for that hits every single one of those check boxes? So even though it might be a very small audience that you're targeting, you are you're servicing an underserviced market, right? That's what niching down means, is that you
yeah,
find where there is an underserviced market, as opposed to saying I can help a personal development to anybody from the ages of 20 to 45. Well, that's a lot of people, right? But then it's like 20 to 35, but maybe you swing it down to, okay, if you're 20 to 25, well, now you just shrunk your audience a little bit. And then if you're 20 to 25 and you're male, now you shrunk it even more, right? And I'm not going to do the pronoun thing right now. So
yeah, yeah,
now you're 20 to 25 male. Then it's like, okay, you're 20 to 25 male and you dropped out of college. Now you're
yeah,
niching down even more. And then it's like dropping out of college and you are working 2 jobs and you're trying to create a
yeah,
side hustle and you're trying to do it online,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you keep going down and down and down and down and down until you find an underserviced market, and then you deliver the program there, and then that's when people are willing to pay. And
Yeah.
then the way that you craft that market is you also got to find folks, and then that's where you price it accordingly, right? So is a 20-year-old who's working two jobs, going to have excess capital to pay a high ticket coaching program? Probably not. But is a 45-year-old who's trying to break out of their current job, retire early, X, Y, or Z, are they going to have extra capital to pay for a program to move the needle in their life? Probably, right?
Yeah.
So that's 100% accurate. So I love the fact that you're going down that path. And then I love the fact also that you're asking the right questions. So this is something that I'm also going through right now, and something I realized this week alone, and with the tandem with my story. It's not about the solution. Too much we ask about the solution.
Yeah.
We think about the solution. We think about like how we're going to solve this thing, when really we should be asking the right question. We are actually in the solution right now. This whole thing is part of the solution. Every day is part of the solution. But we need to start asking the right questions. And if we keep asking the same questions and we're expecting something different, that's the same thing as a definition of insanity, right?
Right.
So when it comes down to, for myself, like, why am I struggling? If I go back in August and September of last year, is when I had a big physical sprint, right? Like, I was up at 5 every day. I was out the door by 5:30. I was biking 30 miles every day. Every
Yeah.
day. Didn't matter. Rain, shine, didn't matter. And I was hopping on and I was fucking like, fuck you, I'm doing it. Like, I was lit up, right? And what happened was, if I'm being truthful, and this is why I wanted to talk about comfort today, at that time, when I first started on my personal journey, I was financially at one of my lowest points. I was just a solopreneur. I didn't have any staff.
Yeah.
I was just having my third kid. My house was literally like 30 to 60 days away from being foreclosed on, right? Like, I had all of these things in my life that I needed to become a better human being if I was going to solve it.
Yeah.
So, getting rid of alcohol, working out, getting up early, writing down my notes, meditating, it's all been part of my journey. Well, what ended up happening is it worked. I dropped weight. I started getting in better shape. Not to get into too much detail, but my wife was recognizing it, and our, intimate time in bed was getting better. I was started attracting different opportunities. I started building my business, right? I started making my first hires. I started figuring out payroll. I started figuring out all these other things. I started to grow the business while I was growing myself. And then all of a sudden, I think what happened to me, and I've had this happen to me in the past, I just didn't have enough of a mind around it to be able to recognize what was happening.
Yeah.
I hit a certain level of success, and all of a sudden I had access to comfort.
Comfort.
I had access to it, right? I was able to take more time off. I was able to buy things that I wanted to buy. I was able to relax,
Mhm.
right? And I leaned into it. I allowed comfort to start to enter into my life. And what I realized in this process is, man, comfort is the most fucking addictive drug in the goddamn planet. It is like, there's, as you still see these memes, right? It's like, give a man a roof over his head, food, and sex, and you can totally crush his ambition, right? Um, and it's so true, right? And so I hit this level where I hit record months, more money than I've ever seen in any of my job functions within a month, right? Like, I mean, I was literally, it's funny. I think about the month of December, my company, I should say between November and December, my company netted more money than I ever imagined. And I paid myself more than what I was making in those 2 months than
Mhm.
what I made for my entire first year of my salary when I took my first ever salary position as a food and beverage director
Right.
way back when. Right. So, like, I had access to comfort. I could pay for things. I could like I didn't have to go fix something in my house. I could pay somebody to do it. I paid someone $500 to fix my back door because it was stuck, right? And like I could have figured out that and fixed it, but I paid for the comfort. So my point is I started getting access to comfort, and as I started getting access to comfort, I started to slowly dip. My mentality started to slowly dip. I started to relax more. And now's not the time to relax. And then the more I think about it, right, as I dive into this concept around comfort, I realized this is why, like, why does Joe Rogan get into an ice bath every day, right? Why do these guys do these things? Like, why does Jocko Willink get up at 4:30 every single morning? Like, why does David Goggins keep fucking running, dude? Like, he doesn't have to. He's proven his point. You know what I mean? Like, all these guys have proven their point. But the point is that they are purposely introducing uncomfortable situations to their every single day
Man.
because their level of access to comfort is unreal, right? When you have hundreds of millions of dollars, Joe Rogan just signed a deal with Spotify for $250 million, right? When you have that kind of money, do you realize, like, I mean, we can pay for literally everything. I can pay somebody to run a podcast for me. I can pay somebody to do absolutely everything. And I can sit on my ass and do absolutely nothing. Right. And I realized, like as I look at success, I've made an oath to myself because I'm about to enter into the next season
Yeah.
where we're going to almost double our numbers from what we did in November and December. So I'm going to hit a very high from a revenue perspective, but I'm going to do it very different. I'm not going to allow those wins to introduce levels of comfort that I'm going to just pay
Yeah.
for or whatever or just cave into. So I'm now realizing what I need to do is I need to force myself to be uncomfortable. So I'm starting to get back up at 5 a.m., 5:30. And that's something that that's the start of it. The next piece is, so then I'm going to have it stack, right? So
Yeah.
step one, get up at 5. Step two, do it consistently. Once I do it consistently, I'm going to have extra time. Step three is now introduce the workout back into the early morning while I still have the mental bandwidth, while I still have the energy and everything else. And then so on and so forth. And then I got to continue to maintain that, right? Step four on that is sustainability around it.
Yeah, man.
So
You did some work.
I did some work. So I think, for me, like going back to your question of what's the number one thing that I'm struggling with to add more fitness into my life? I'm battling my own internal desires for comfort. And I'm trying to understand those and release those and be comfortable with uncomfortable again.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I actually I saw one of your posts recently. It was from your vacation, and it was you standing in the water, right, looking all swole because that's just what you do. You can't help it. I get it. But you're like something like to the tune of like, this is the life that I'm gonna live, and I'm not there yet, right? And or something of that nature, right? I don't remember the exact copy that you put.
I said, I didn't enjoy the vacation because it's something about I created a life that I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I, something like that, right? Because I couldn't enjoy create this life that I don't want to leave.
Okay.
Shit, I can't
Give
even.
me let me pause on that note for just 2 seconds. My 3-year-old's knocking at my door trying to get me to
Yeah,
start another show. I'll be
no,
1 second.
I could get the message up. This might help because it did hit when I said it. Let me see. All right, guys. So it says one day I'll be able to fully enjoy a vacation, or is it that I created a life that I never want to escape from? Um, that was the quote. So we could ponder that. I'm gonna use the bathroom.
So I heard that creating a life that you don't want to leave, right? See, Samnang ran out too, but I think I overheard enough, right? So it's like creating a life that he doesn't want to leave. So, um, which is important, right? And I think that we think about as we look out onto our lives, and as we look out onto, our here he comes. I'll rephrase. I was trying to keep the conversation going for those listening.
Mm-hmm.
But I overheard you. So create a life that you don't want to leave,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so and I think that's a powerful message. And I think at least for me, right? I went through. I've changed my lens just in the last couple weeks. My lens used to be, oh, I want to do all these things. And I think I didn't realize that I was thinking this way, but I want to do all these things so I can enjoy the comforts of life.
Yeah, which is illusion. It's
It's illusion.
an illusion.
It's total fucking illusion. Because you know what, dude? This is why like people buy themselves to death, right? Where they have so much money, they buy. You hear it all the time of all these successful people that kill themselves because they can't fulfill themselves, right?
Yeah,
And fulfillment I think that's the interesting part of it, right? Like there's a difference between like monetary success and fulfillment. And I don't think we think enough about that. Like, what
yeah,
is fulfilling? You know what's fulfilling for me is when I'm faced with a hard challenge and I solve it. You know what's more fulfilling than that is when I'm solving someone else's hard challenge for them.
yeah,
Right? Like that's the beauty of coaching. Like when I can help somebody become a better human being or a better snowboarder or I can help a business grow
yeah,
their business. That's very fulfilling work, right?
yeah. You definitely done
So
effective work, and I want to share something as well too. I think it could tie into what you just
yeah,
said about difficulty and comforts. Difficulty and comfort is really an illusion, like how we kind of just came to an conclusion. That's why I always say it is an illusion. Is how you perceive it, and big part of like personal development is how you perceive, how you reframe pain, how you reframe all this, so you can actually like progress. Like right now, I'm making a lot of like personal development progress. So, and my mentor. He was preaching and talking. I think we all kind of do all very similar things. Like you talk and I speak and everything. It's like, are we preaching? It's the same thing. He was preaching and he was talking about going to war. And when I start talking about war and stuff, I'm like, my ears perk up because I believe I have a warrior spirit and stuff. And then he started talking about God, and he was like, this season of life, God is not worried about giving you the riches, giving you all that you want, right? He said, because I'm in the growth season, right? I'm in the growth season, and he says, God works in different ways, and it's character building season. So he's building character right now. So, and I really believe it. It's like, man, my character is so much different than what it was like a year ago. Like I, I was talking to a coach and a friend. She was asking me how low did it ever get. It was like it got real low, and pretty much like a year ago from now, I was at maybe my lowest mentally, like mentally, and I was like, man, that I could get there, right? To really pull out this person and fight these demons, and then bring out the energy. Um, but character is built in those dark times. Those dark times, like I was telling my friend, is like it's like a type of therapy that I do that I know that I could get the best out of myself. It's like David Goggins, where he could go to this really dark place and really channel that energy. So for me, it's like uh God is building my character right now, right? He's teaching me how to tap into that side, tap into this side, this warrior spirit. Or there's some days where I have to be like a warrior, and then there's some days I have to be like a monk. Like it's it's so challenging, but in a way, it's like when I talk about self actualization and doing difficult things during this time, this is what makes you as a person and stuff. And that's like for me, is like when I preach and stuff, is like when I say self actualization, get a handle on the illusion, you know. You got a very good handle on what the illusion is, and not everybody's gonna achieve that certain level of like worldview or enlightenment. That's a step, and then there's also more to it. Like you're already opening up the doors of like your consciousness, right? And when you start to open up more doors, you're like, damn, there's more doors, and then it just keeps opening. So it's like you're on a good path of like wisdom. I mean, you have a ton of wisdom already, and applying that to like your work and spirituality, it's like, how do we do that? When I
Mm-hmm.
say spirituality, is more like us, our philosophies into our work and stuff. So for me, like thinking out loud and philosophizing and stuff, helping other people think and stuff, it's like God is making me think so I can help other people think as well too. So it's like,
100%. And you know what? Like going through the experience that you're going through right now, and the struggles of starting a business, the struggles of that cash flow not being there just yet, figuring out how to go through that, the self doubt that you're experiencing, the questioning of things, the lows, the depression, the highs that come along with it too, like all that stuff, right? Because you are going through it and you're purposely putting yourself through there, and you also have a very great perspective, because not a lot of people come to the realization that you have, which I saw you just share recently, which is like you were happy, you shared a piece of content, and you're like, you know what, I am in the life that I created, and I'm happy that I'm here,
yeah,
right? And I'm welcoming this. And that in itself, because what's going to happen, I'm going to predict it right now. I'm going to say that if you keep this up, in the next 6 months, you are going to have some type of a breakthrough with what you're doing. You're going to receive some validation in the form of a monetary contribution to your efforts. Okay. And it's going to give you energy, and you're going to be like, holy shit,
yeah,
like this idea is now real. Like it's no longer just an idea. Like this is something tangible. And my buddy Jake actually just went through that. So if you talk to him, like he kind of had his first monetary breakthrough with it, what he's doing. He was like, "Holy shit! Like my idea is no longer just an idea. This is real."
yeah,
Um, and I'm predicting that you're gonna have that moment, and what's gonna happen is that because of what you've been through, you're gonna become that much better of a coach, and you're gonna be able to relate to other people on a whole new level. And because you're going to be able to relate to somebody on a whole new level, you're going to be able to provide a tremendous amount of value in a very short period of time. And as you continue to build that loop, and you start to realize how you like it's to deliver value, you have to be able to relate. You have
yeah,
to be able to provide
like right,
something of tangible action, right? Even if it's something very small that creates an immediate impact on somebody. And if you can solve for those things, well, you can monetize that. And it's not so much monetizing to pay you to validate you, it's people paying you because it's worth it, right? And that's where fulfillment starts to enter the bracket. And I think, for me, as I think about the money that I need to, like, for the immediate goals, going out to Italy this year with my family. We're going for 3 months. So obviously that's a monetary component of my life, paying off certain debts, building up our personal savings again, building up nest eggs, the whole nine, all these things that are monetary goals that I'm working towards, right? Getting the business, like I'd love to have my payroll backlog for the next 6 months if I can, right? Like little things like that. I'm trying to accomplish in the intermediate in like this next calendar year. Um, those goals become, it's the same idea, like you said, to Eamon. He's like, I want to run a 5K. You're like, no, fuck that. You want to run a marathon.
yeah,
It's the same thing that you're going to have too. The goals become, those pieces of the puzzle just become much smaller as you hit them. Like, and I think For me, what happened with me is when I hit the big months and the big wins, I also celebrated big. I celebrated big in my spending. I celebrated big, like my kids had the best Christmas they've ever had.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of things. My wife had a great Christmas. Like we traveled, we spent in celebration when the money came in, and we spent on comfort items.
Yeah. When you say
And
or like luxury items, because I'm not a luxury guy, but I do like quality shit.
well, yeah, I mean quality stuff, but luxury items, like little things that didn't necessarily need to happen,
Yeah.
so and a lot of those items provided a level of comfort back to us. I mean, to give you an idea, like booking our first month for Italy, it's already paid for and booked. Um, that actually provides a level of comfort for me and my wife because our mission since we've met has been to world school our kids. So
Yeah.
to know that we've bought the first month, we still owe the next two, but to know that that's done provided us a level of comfort in the sense of like, okay, we're now this is
At least,
tangible. This isn't just an idea.
yeah. At least you did it. I guess in my
But
life,
that's what I'm saying. Like I let it become a comfort, and it should have been it's not a comfort, right? It's like, no, this is very uncomfortable.
yeah.
Um, and we haven't figured it out. And unless we continue to figure it out, we're not going to Italy, even if we have the first month paid, right? So like and that's just it for me. It's like I need to dial back the celebration, dial back the feelings of accomplishment and the highs, and thus when it does hit lows, I'll be much more even keeled, right? If you celebrate too much when it's the wins and the highs,
Yeah.
you also experience the downside of that. Everything has an opposite and equal reaction, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, next big win, like we're about to hit our next big win. Instead of me
Hey,
bonusing myself off of owner draws from the company, I'm actually like, okay, I'm going to pay myself as an operator as a salary that's going to be budgeted over the course of the next 6 months. And that is my income. And I'm not to touch anything else within the business.
yeah.
Right. And that's another level of discipline. Am I going to have the comforts that I originally thought I wanted or that I wanted? No,
No. Yeah.
but that's not the game. Comfort isn't fulfillment. And I think we have it confused. And I know I had it confused for the longest time. Comfort is not fulfilling. It's
Comfort is
just not.
it's another illusion. Yeah. I made a big realization like this week. I was like stressing. I was like, not making. And then I started reflecting like, what would I be doing if I was working at a corporate job like at this moment? At this moment, at this age, with my wisdom or my experience at a corporate job, I would be like, I would fucking absolutely hate it every moment of my life.
Yeah.
That brought me back. I was like, I'd rather be stressing about my own shit than someone else's shit at this point in my life. And I was like, and I really grounded myself. I was like, and it brought a sense of like gratitude. I was like, not everybody has this opportunity to like literally my goal is to be work from home performance coach, lifestyle coach, go bodybuild and take care of my family, right? That's it, right? Nothing nothing crazy. And then just be able to document it, right? And inspire. Those are three simple big goals that I like. There's no vacations for me. There's no like I told my friend, I told my brothers, I was like, unless it's family events, don't invite me. I literally was like, unless it's like our nephew's birthday party, or football game, or like a game, basketball game, it's a social event or anything. Please do not invite me. Birthday parties, don't invite me. I'm focused on building this business, being a bodybuilder. So it's like, you know, I let people know so that like not to expect me to be there. So I just kind of cleared it, gather, and just stay like focused and stuff. So like we coming back, going to vacation, like humanized things for me. Like I felt like I was untouchable before I went, and then I was like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
100%, man.
that's where we're at. I'm not superhuman, human too.
Well, I think, there's something to be said too, right? Like you go on the vacation. and you're in a tropical island in tropical paradise, and then you realize the limitations that you have, and like it's almost like a window that you can like look through, but you realize that you're not actually there. You're still looking through the window, right? And I think that that's got a lot to say about grounding yourself in the process, right? And it's funny how vacations can do that. I think everybody experiences it for the most part. I know I do, where like you go on a vacation and you come back and everybody's like, "Oh, I need a vacation for my vacation." Right? But to get themselves back into the grind of things.
Yeah.
And for I think for a lot of people, they overindulge on vacation and then they come back to reality, and then they have to reset their brain to go get reality done. And for your case, I think it's a little bit of the opposite. It's like you went on vacation and you're like, maybe it was almost a sense of like, do I deserve this yet or not, kind of thing, or or what was it? A a snapshot of what life could be if this was all successful, but you're not there yet, right? And that to me is like, again, are you seeking comfort? Because if you are, meaning you can work from anywhere and you're going to put your feet up and just make the money while you're at the beach because you want to be comfortable, or is it that you're seeking fulfillment, right? And if that means going to tropical islands is where you're going to find fulfillment, then great. But if that's not going to fulfill your life, then maybe that's not necessarily the guiding light.
Yeah.
And I think, too many times, I think people think if I had $100 million, $1 billion, well, I'd just be on permanent vacation, right? And I'd be on permanent comfort mode. And it's just like, I don't think people realize that.
That question is being really deep. Like, I'm a pretty simple guy. Like, yeah, I'm like I have a lot of debt. Like, but if you gave me $100,000 or $100 million, I'd be like, I'd probably buy a nicer home, a nicer car, and then just spend all my time eating good quality proteins and lifting weights. It's like outside of that and taking care of my family, it's like it's the exact same thing that I'm doing. So that's why, like, why am I stressing about the stuff that I'm actually gonna have now? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
like you're probably doing the exact same thing you are doing, right? You will probably be spreading your message more, but in the same time, it's like we're already actually doing it. So, like for me, it's
Right.
like I'm bodybuilding, building a lifestyle I want. I'm coaching the people that I want, finding the ideal client, uh, type of people that I want, and then like I have my family, my two daughters. I have good relationships with brothers and my ex-wife and everything. So my relationships are good, right? Am I where I want to be where I am financially? Not yet, but when I am there financially, it's gonna be almost the exact same feeling. I think
Right.
we're like, okay,
100%.
but I'm gonna always want more. You if you don't stay a little hungry, you're not gonna eat. You know,
That's
and
it.
I think comfort, like when we this show is about comfort and stuff, it's like comfort is an illusion, a big, big illusion. I've gotten to that same point where like I took my foot off the pedal, for a little bit. And that's when for me I thought a lot of shit just started like fucking up because I took my foot off the pedal. And I learned that lesson. So like for me it's like my mind and my body and everything. I spend so much time priming it just to make sure that like I do be successful when I'm doing my stuff. So it's like I'm confident, but there's a little bit of uncertainty that builds character and stuff. So that's what we're all seeking. There's a little bit of comfort, there's a little bit of uncertainty. It's kind of like a fine balance, and comfort in oh, you could play with that balance, but trying to reframe it that comfort or uncomfortableness will give you the ability to control your life. Like that's a stoicism philosophy. It's like I punish my body in the gym so I can emotionally control myself to do hard stuff every day. So the stuff that you're doing, Danny, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us for heading to episode 14.
Yeah, man. And look, we're having real talks, and like this isn't like, again, we talk about this on all the podcasts. None of this shit's staged. This is
Nothing.
reality for us.
We're just talking
This
about
is
real
this
business
is
and stuff.
raw
And
and real as it gets, right? And I think I'll leave my last kind of thought on this, right? Is going back to that idea of problem solving. And as an entrepreneur, like, you're being a good problem solver. I've now adopted the mentality that I'm trying to create problems in my life. I'm purposely trying to create problems,
yeah,
which purposely tries to create uncomfortable situations. And I'm very comfortable with that because I am very comfortable with solving problems. I know that I'm good at solving problems. So as I think about, even getting up at 5 a.m., that is a problem that I need to solve. So I have to think about it slightly different. I've been setting my alarm for 5 a.m. for literally this entire year, and I've been hitting snooze for the last 3 months. And just recently
what
I
time?
stopped hitting snooze.
What time are you going to bed?
Between 10 and 11, depending on the kids.
All right, good. You got to bump it up to 9. That's the only way to wake up at 5.
I mean, ideally, yeah. I think 7 hours. I think I've realized, like, if I get 6 to 7 hours of sleep, that's really all I need. Um,
You live a pretty intense life if you're doing physical training and you're a CEO of company and stuff. The amount of sleep, I go to 9. Not I, I try to be like off my feet at 9. You know, I see you have
mhm,
that's and you probably biking all and stuff, right? Try to be off your feet because that helps you in the recovery mode. You might not be able to fall asleep at 10, but staying off your feet, that helps you recover. Um, the way I sleep is like around 9 o'clock. That's where I'm trying to be, like in bed. I might not be ready in my head. I might have had too much caffeine or something, but at least my body is starting to like recover. Cause you probably take,
mhm.
I don't know what it is, but like, so getting a little bit to sleep a little bit earlier is the only way to wake up earlier. Like, if you're going to sleep at 10 and like you live a fairly intense life, so sleep is high priority because that almost regulates everything. So
Oh, in an ideal world, it would be 9, right? But I have the reality of children, and it is
yeah,
what it is. But I think what I'm doing in the morning, and I got this from Marcus Aurelius, is Marcus Aurelius has a passage in Meditations where he talks about, like, he was struggling with getting up early, right? Like, here's an emperor, the most powerful man in the world of his time, and he was struggling with getting up early in the morning. And so his philosophy was like, was I was is my purpose in life to be comfortable
but
under these covers in bed, right? And the answer is obviously no. And I think that there's also something there, right, where it's like, my wife and I literally had this conversation just the other day. We both got up at 5:15, something like that. And then we talked about, like, okay, what would have been the net benefit had I slept that extra hour?
no,
Nothing. Like, there would have been no benefit, right? And so now in the mornings when I wake up, the very first thing that I do, the very, very, very first thing, alarm goes off and I'm laying in bed. The first thought that hits my mind, and I've been consistently doing this all week and it's been helping, is, what is this feeling that I'm feeling right now? What is this desire to stay in bed, to keep my eyes closed? What is this? And I've now realized this is a bodily feeling. This is a bodily emotion. This is a body experience, not a mind.
hmm
And who am I going to let win this battle today, this morning? Am I going to let the body win, or am I going to let the mind win?
hmm
Right? And I'm like, nope, I'm going to let the mind win. And then I sit up and I get out of bed. And then guess what? In about 5-10 minutes, body feeling's gone. I'm up, I'm energized, I'm ready to go. But it's just that transition period, right? And we've talked about that in the past. And I'm realizing, like, this is just a bodily experience, and I don't have to listen to the body. And I, quite frankly, don't necessarily need to. I think at that point I'm ready to move on to the next. And you know what? The times that I do get, where I get from 5 to 6 to kind of like wake myself up, get my thoughts together,
yeah.
like, that's kind of my meditative time, right?
At least it's productive,
I have a
right?
better day. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the key too is like, okay, sleep, whatever. People might have different sleep requirements, I have to sleep like 8 to 9, at least like 10 hours, just because I'm a bodybuilder. Like the more sleep I get, the more muscle I get, or the faster I recover. So I'm high priority on the sleep. But if you're productive and have proper energy throughout the day, that's enough for your lifestyle, right? So it's like if you're feeling tired, like I have to like take a nap. Like for me, is like if I wake up at 5 a.m., I know for sure I'm gonna need a nap at 3 p.m. So it's gonna be in one way or another. Your body's gonna need it. So listening to your body, like if you do need the rest, like when sleep, when there's lack of sleep and stuff, like decisions are harder to make and stuff. So for me, it's like when I'm tired and I'm sleepy, I'm literally just gonna like take a nap. Like, and I don't want to tell everybody, but like I'm pro nap. So when you see how productive I am, I'll be like, I take naps all day.
That's good, dude. That's good. Well, look, I think this has been a good episode, man, and I think we
Yeah, it
hit
was good.
the nail on the head on a lot of things. My thoughts for you, Sam Nang, moving in through the weekend and into next week is take some time, meditate on this, meditate on your problem solving skills, and come to the realization that you are a elite problem solver. You are an elite problem solver. You're really good at it.
Yeah,
And when problems are faced with you, you know how to solve them. Therefore, you're actively, for your business, you are actively now trying to go find and create new problems for yourself. Because your day to day of what you're going through is, in fact, already the solution. You are already solving for everything that you want to do.
okay.
Every day, every moment, you are solving it. So now what you need isn't more solutions. You need more problems, because the more problems you create, the greater your solution's going to be. And the solution is when you actually go back and you talk about what you did, right? So that's
Yeah,
my 2 cents for you is go
okay.
create problems.
Go create some problems. Good
Go be a
problems.
problem child.
Yeah, I am probably trying. All right, man. I appreciate the wisdom and the insight today. The episode was great. And then anybody else watching there, we're looking for episodes or guest members. I mean, I have the Danny, I have the show notes. I'm gonna write something, show notes, descriptions and stuff. So just copy and paste it and
Super
stuff.
helpful. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Uh
So we'll get this live. I think last piece just for everybody. This is FIFO, flow in, flow out. Our mission here is to raise the collective vibrations. We're trying to become better humans every single day. We're sharing our story. The intent of that is to help you also become better human beings. Understand we're real people. We're going through the same type of struggles that you guys are as we hit our different levels of success and failures and so on and so forth. We're here to share it authentically. Nothing
yeah.
scripted. We don't meet outside of this. That's the kind of nature of this. Episodes are released every Monday at 6 a.m., Friday at 4 p.m. That way we can catch you at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week. And hopefully this kind of content helps you guys become better human beings so you can go crush it.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Danny did a wonderful job. Yeah, the episode is, I kind of just flow with it, flow in, flow out, and then yeah, yeah, I'm super proud of it. Other than that, it's like it was a great episode. Thanks for keeping watching or listening and everything. All my friends and family really enjoyed the new content that we're putting out. The raw and authenticity is, you know, it's real. We're all struggling. It's not necessary to like lie about what we're struggling with and what we're winning at too. I post a lot of wins and it looks like a lot of wins, but I also like, hey, there's a lot of losses or feelings of losses as well too. So people always complain that social media people always just show their wins. I also talk about the losses too. So and the losses is where it gives people's attention, and that's where you learn most of this, like your life lessons, and you get your lost
100%.
insights is when you lose. So sharing our losses and our struggles and stuff, I think it's gonna go more farther than really any of our victories. We feel successful some days, and some days we don't feel successful. Like somebody on the outside looked at me from the outside, they would think that I'm successful, but there's days where I'm like, nah, I don't feel really successful.
Yeah,
And that's a real
100%.
feeling as an adult. So, but yeah, today it was a great episode, and hope to see you guys or talk to you guys next week.
Sounds good. All right, brother.
Yeah, I gotta go hit leg day.